Long before the market learned to fear her walking stick, they knew her as Mama Abena, the quiet old woman who sold spices near the tomato sellers.
Every morning, before the sun fully rose, she would arrange her little table with care. Dried pepper, ginger, garlic, small bowls of ground spices.
Her hands were wrinkled but steady, her back slightly bent but her eyes sharp, always sharp. People passed her every day. Good morning, Mama. Welcome.
Thank you, my son. She looks too old to cause any trouble.
I may be old, but I see everything. What they didn't know was that Mama Abena had not always been quiet. As a young woman, she had once been loud with dreams.
One day I will travel far beyond this village.
She had wanted to travel, to trade across towns, to build something bigger than a tiny spice stall. But life had not been gentle with her. She had faced insults, mockery, men who believed strength belonged only to them.
Men who mistook her patience for permission.
Over time, she learned something powerful. Silence can be a weapon. Watching can be protection. And waiting can be strategy. That morning in the market felt ordinary.
The tomatoes were bright red. The air smelled of pepper and dust. Traders shouted prices back and forth. Mama Abena noticed him before anyone else did.
A young man, restless eyes, moving too quickly, watching bags more than faces. She said nothing. She simply adjusted her walking stick beside her stool and kept watching. The young man's name was Kojo. He wasn't from the market. The regular traders could always tell who belonged and who didn't. Kojo moved like someone testing the ground, not someone rooted in it. His eyes scanned quickly, handbags, waist pouches, distracted customers. He had done this before. Quick grab, quick run, disappear into the narrow streets behind the market. Easy money. At least, that was the plan. Mama Abena watched him from the corner of her eye.
My sister, the ginger is 200 naira. Mama, reduce it small for me.
Her voice was calm, her hands steady, but her mind was alert. She noticed how he circled once, then twice. Good morning, Ma. Fresh tomatoes today?
Yes, they look lovely. How much for these?
Excuse me, are these tomatoes for sale?
Oh, you startled me, young man.
Sorry, ma'am. I'll come back.
Mama Abena knew that look. She had seen that same restless energy in men who thought they could intimidate her years ago. Men who tested limits.
Men who tested limits. Men who believed no one would challenge them. Kojo's gaze finally landed on her. Old, small, alone. Perfect.
Mama, how much is the pepper?
She saw more than a thief. She saw a boy who believed strength only lived in muscle. She told him the price calmly.
He leaned closer. He leaned closer, and in that tiny moment, quick as a blink, his hand reached for the small black purse hanging beside her stool. But Mama Abena had been waiting.
Not today, thief!
Let go!
Before Kojo's fingers could even close properly around the purse, something hard and fast struck his wrist. Crack! It wasn't loud enough to stop the whole market, but it was loud enough to shock him.
I said drop it! You can't stop me, old woman. This old woman will! Ow! My wrist! Now get out. This isn't over. You thought I was sleeping?
She asked quietly. It was a mistake, Mama. I was only helping you hold it.
Young man, my hands may wrinkle, but they are not weak. And my eyes may be old, but they still see clearly.
I don't like being embarrassed, especially not by an old woman. He reached for her purse again, this time boldly. That was his second mistake. The stick came down faster, this time not just on his wrist, but across his arm. And the market finally understood something important.
Mama Abena was not the kind of woman you tested twice. The second strike landed backward, knocking into a crate of tomatoes. They spilled onto the ground, rolling in every direction. A few children ran after them.
But even they slowed down when they saw Mama Abena step forward again. The noise in the market began to fade.
Vendors stopped shouting prices.
Buyers paused mid-bargain. All eyes turned to the old woman with the raised stick. Kojo's face burned with embarrassment. He wasn't used to this.
Why aren't you backing down?
He was used to fear, people shrinking away, not standing firm. especially not someone twice my age.
You will not touch what is not yours. Mama, please, I can explain. Just give me a chance to make this right.
It's not that serious.
But his voice had lost its confidence. Mama Abena didn't shout. She didn't insult him. She simply stood her ground. And somehow, that was stronger.
You all will respect me.
I've waited years for this. Look at him now.
They are not afraid anymore.
If you are strong, use it to build something, not to steal.
The words hit harder than the stick.
And in that silence, something shifted. Not just for Kojo, but for the entire market. Kojo opened his mouth to argue, but the words wouldn't come out. Mama Abena was still standing there, steady, her eyes locked on his. The crowd waited. Some expected her to shout more. Others expected Kojo to react badly.
You think this is about a purse? When I was younger than you, men used to grab more than bags. They grabbed dignity, they grabbed peace, they grabbed dreams.
The market grew even quieter. A few older women lowered their eyes. They understood. Kojo shifted uncomfortably. This was no longer a simple failed theft. It had become something bigger.
I kept quiet back then. Not because I was weak, but because I was surviving.
But I am not surviving anymore. I am living. And nobody takes from me again.
Her words didn't carry hatred. They carried truth. Kojo looked at her differently now. Not as a target, not even as an enemy, but as someone who had fought battles he couldn't see.
And for the first time, he began to understand that the woman in front of him was not just defending a purse. She was defending every version of herself that had once been powerless. Kojo felt every eye in the market pressing against him. Just minutes ago, he had walked in feeling clever. Now he stood there with dust on his shirt, tomatoes at his feet, and a story unfolding that was bigger than him.
I didn't know.
You didn't know what?
I'm not used to explaining myself. Not used to being questioned like this.
He wasn't used to being questioned in front of people. Usually he was the one creating discomfort, not standing inside it. I didn't know you went through all that.
And if you didn't know, does that make it right?
The truth was, he had never thought about the lives of the people he stole from. To him, they were just opportunities, quick money.
I refuse.
He saw her not as prey, but as a person. The truth was, he had never thought about the lives of the people he stole from. To him, they were just opportunities, quick money, quick escape. But standing there, facing this old woman who refused to shake, something shifted inside him. He saw her not as prey, but as a person.
You're old enough to know better. If you have strong hands, use them to work.
Kojo looked down at his hands. They were strong. They were capable. And yet, he had been using them for the wrong reasons. Mama Abena finally lowered her stick completely.
I could have called the police. But today, I chose to teach instead.
I felt shame.
Could this moment change me?
The market slowly began to breathe again, but no one walked away. This wasn't just drama anymore. It felt like a turning point. His pride was fighting with something new growing inside him. Responsibility.
What do you want me to do?
The question surprised everyone. Mama Abena studied him for a long moment. She had seen stubborn men before. She had seen fake apologies. She knew the difference between fear and reflection.
First, you pick up every tomato you scattered.
Second, you apologize. Not to me alone, to this market.
I'm sorry. I came here to steal. I was wrong.
Third, you decide what kind of man you want to be. Not tomorrow. Now.
The tomato seller Kojo felt the weight of that question settle deep inside him. For the first time, he understood strength wasn't about who you could overpower. It was about who you chose to become when you were given the chance to change.
What kind of man do you want to be?
What kind of man do you want to be?
What kind of man do you want to be?
What kind of man do you want to be? It felt powerful. But standing here now, that power feels small.
I don't have work. It wasn't an excuse this time. It was the truth.
Many people here started with nothing. Nothing is not the problem. The problem is choice.
If he's serious, I can use an extra hand at my shop.
Rumors and whispers spreading through the crowd.
You would trust me?
I would watch you. Trust is built.
I'll work. I'm tired of running.
Good. Because the hardest fight is not against an old woman with a stick. It's against the habits that made you pick that purse.
The next morning, the market felt different. Kojo arrived early, earlier than he had ever arrived anywhere. The carpenter stood outside his small wooden shop, arms folded, waiting. He handed Kojo a broom first. "Start there," he said. Across the market, Mama Abena arranged her spices as usual. She did not wave at Kojo, she did not call his name. When he swept carefully around the shop, she made wave. The market noticed too. A few whispered that change never lasts. Others watched with quiet hope. By midday, Kojo's hands were sore. Ring a short different from running, yet they glanced toward Mama Abena's stall. Their eyes met briefly. She didn't smile. But she gave the smallest nod. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't full trust. It was acknowledgement. And sometimes, that is enough to keep a person trying. But she gave the smallest nod. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't full trust. It was acknowledgement. And sometimes, that is enough to keep a person trying.
Kojo returned to work with something new in his chest. Not fear, not pride. Purpose. And for the first time in years, he went home tired, but honest.
Weeks passed, and the market slowly transformed. Kojo no longer lurked in corners, watching for opportunities to take what wasn't his. He moved with purpose, carrying supplies, helping traders, and learning the rhythms of honest work. His hands, once tools of mischief, now built shelves, repaired crates, and cleaned the dusty market paths.
I watched from my stall, quietly proud. My presence changed the course of a young man's life. The market seems calmer now, as if everyone learned something important.
You see, strength isn't just about swinging a stick or winning a fight. It's about what you choose to do with your power. I understand now.
From that day on, Mama Abena wasn't just the old spice seller. She was the woman who reminded everyone, young and old, that courage, patience, and dignity in her the gear.